Hey y'all, happy Saturday. Just wanted to talk a little bit about today. Want to talk about land contracts. I know it's something I mentioned in a previous video, but I wanted to talk a little bit further on those. Something that's kind of interesting. It does impact more than just land. There's some cool investment things you can do with investment properties. With even single family homes or multifamily homes on them within regards to land contracts. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. As you can see, I'm out on the property. I've been working for a couple hours now, and I'm gonna do some more videos in the probably next couple weeks of building out trails back here. Again, we have 6.5 acres, a little over 6.5. So we're going to be building out some trail systems back here just to walk, things like that. Walk. I don't know if it'll ever be dry enough to like mountain bike or ride a dirt bike back here. Dirt bike might be a little much. It'll be pretty small. Only by the time I'm done, it'll probably be maybe like 1.5 miles, I think. 2 miles will be sweet. But I'm thinking it will probably end up being about 1.5 miles. From start to finish, and there'll be a couple cut throughs for loops and stuff, but I wanted to just kind of show you a few parts of the trail that I've started. Right now I'm pretty much up in the front, not even front, but like middle area of the property where the fire pit and everything is that we put in a few weeks ago. Trying to burn stuff as we go along, brush and stuff like that, but it's still a little bit too wet, so we'll let some of that dry out. We're only finishing March here, so once we get a little further into the spring, hopefully we can start to burn some of this brush. And obviously a lot of this wood behind me has been here for a while, so it's rotted. But let's take a walk back, run you through the little part of the path trail that I've started already, and then from there I'll probably do like a little how-to on it here, like I said, in the next couple weeks. But this is my first time doing it, so I figured I'd save the video for the rest of it. It'll be a project that I'll be working on for a while, so there'll be plenty of videos on it. So let's go. All right, so as you can see, we've talked about a little bit already, but this is going to be our home site eventually. House is gonna pretty much go over that way, and eventually a pole barn, workshop type situation is going to be over here. This is again a ridge, so it's kind of built up compared to the driveway and bonfire area. So along here, I think eventually we'll probably have like garage somewhere over here, and then basically it'll be like little dirt road, maybe pavement, cement eventually. That kind of connects the house and the pole barn workshop together. Here's actually our holes from the perk test. You can see all the sand out here, so you can see that's where they dug their 3, I think it was 7-foot holes. And as you can see, there's lots of sand, so that was a good deal. Lots of stuff to clean out up here. Haven't gotten this far yet. I kind of started from the back of the property, and I've been working my way up. So been using these stakes to kind of mark roughly where I want it. It's gonna go this way. Haven't gotten this far yet, so I kind of gotta break through all this stuff until I work my way up. But I'm pretty spent for the day, so let's see. Let's cut through here. So there's another marker there, so the trail's gonna go through here, and you can start to see where I've cleared it. So basically this is where it ended, and then it's gonna go up on the hill, garage, house. You can kind of see how that's gonna play out. I've already marked some stuff out like over there on the other side of the property. You can see those big, I don't know if those are maples or what those are, probably bigger than maples. But yeah, those pretty much where the other side of the trails are going back. And then here is going to be what I'll call like the utility portion of it. So again, marked it out, brought the chainsaw back here and widened some of this section out here. It was kind of already a natural path just from like deer and things like that, but I made it wider. Eventually I want to be able to get like a quad and stuff like that through here so we can access the rear part of the land. We can haul out trees and firewood and stuff like that. So as you can see, we got some pretty gnarly stuff happening here. Some of that stuff will probably eventually have to come down, but so yeah, so basically went through, kind of picked the area that I wanted to where it was gonna disturb the least amount of actual like live trees. As you can see, again, a lot of down stuff that will probably eventually get cut up, but for now it's kind of mossy and whimsical and cool. And then you can see the stack of wood there. I actually had to, the tree was down crossing where I wanted the path to be, so chop that up, stack it up there, dry out so we can have some firewood eventually. And then this is the first time, I think, on the channel that you're seeing the creek. So the creek flows all the way down to the next property where it connects to a few different ponds, and you can kind of see through the trees there. There's a little waterfall, and then we're actually right pretty much on the border of our neighbor back here. So I want to say like somewhere around where those trees are crossing the creek, that's pretty much theirs. You can see their trails over there from where they go hunting. Got a tree stand up there. That's what I would say is on our property line, but you know, it is what it is. It's all good. We're not living here yet, but basically the trail doesn't just end here. It's gonna eventually cross over to the other side where we will start that rear portion of it, which is a lot bigger, so that'll be a lot of work. That's why I said it's going to be a really long project. And then there's going to be some videos that I'll do on building bridges. So never done it, but I am pretty handy with metalwork and fabrication, stuff like that. So I'm going to be building some steel and wood bridges, steel frame with a wood topper. To cross these will be nice and cedar and last us a long time. So eventually when we're ready for that, once we have some trails that are a little bit more solid and cleared out, more established up front, we'll be able to haul the materials back here to put this bridge together. That way we can cross and access the rear portion. Obviously, this is not going to be an ideal place to just walk through the water. So we'll put up a bridge here. That's actually another portion of the other trail over there. Wraps around and goes back over to the far side where you can see it clears out. But yeah, pretty cool. This is just the start. I get really excited about this stuff. It gives us a place to go. Not a big gym person. Let me grab my coat. Not a big gym person, so you know, being able to use our own property to get some exercise, stuff like that, it's gonna be pretty cool. I think raking this stuff was a lot of exercise in itself. My arms are jello, so all right, cool. Well, from there we're gonna clean up and get out of here, and once we get home, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about those land contracts. We'll go over some basics as far as you know, what the pros and cons are, and can talk about what might be best for you. All right, see you in a minute. All right, figure we'll just do the video in the car here. So land contracts, there's a few different names for them, but land contract is pretty much the most common. Seller financing, meaning that the seller of the home or property is basically financing it for you. Now, if you go back to the traditional way of basically acquiring a property, of course you can pay with cash if you've got the means to. More power to you. But from there, if you have to finance it like most people, then usually what you'll do is you'll go through a bank. So with that being said, going through a bank, or just, we'll say in general, a mortgage company for any sort of financing, it usually is not like the fastest process. You have to kind of equate it to, it's like buying a car, I guess would be a little bit more common than buying a home. You have to go in, do all the paperwork, they've got to pull your credit, they have to look into your work history, if they care about that stuff, make sure you're able to pay back the loan itself. Now, that's not a bad thing. The nice thing I like about just regular financing, or like say a mortgage, is that your name is on it. So like our property, we did a traditional mortgage, vacant land mortgage, and so now we own it. That's ours. The bank obviously has ownership interest of it if we don't pay, but that goes for any sort of financing, whether it be owner financing or traditional bank or mortgage financing. So now going the other way, say you're in a hurry, or you just want to kind of figure something out to be able to get your name on said property, as the buyer, it's not to say more tough to find that opportunity, but sellers aren't always as willing to go that route. So something you have to keep in mind is that just because you like the property doesn't mean that the current owner is going to let you do a land contract with them. So basically, just to kind of get in the details of that first, a land contract is basically, say I'm the owner of the property currently, I'm trying to sell it. From there, you are looking at my property and you intend to purchase it. As a seller on your side, maybe you don't have great credit, maybe you just don't have the time to wait. Maybe you're trying to buy a house and want to really buy instead of rent, something like that. And you just kind of want to make a deal, and you're able to find something that fits the bill. So basically, you're able to talk to the sellers and see if they're then willing to finance the property for you. So they're not basically taking the full purchase price or whatever net, sales that come from the sale of the property. They basically are taking a payment from you every month, so that you'll eventually own the property outright and it will be yours. So it's kind of, not to say it's like you're whatever you want to make it, but it's a lot more malleable than, say, like a normal conventional Fannie Freddie FHA VA mortgage would be for, say, like a single family home. There's no guidelines to it. It's simply a contract between you and another person to obtain ownership of whatever property. So there's no rules on what the down payment has to be. Maybe there doesn't have to be a down payment. What's the payment going to be? What are the terms as far as the 30 years, 20 years, 15 years? What's your minimum payment? Is it interest only for a certain amount of time? You know, what the interest rate is, you know, them financing it for you. You have to kind of give them a little bit of kind of room to work with, so to make sure it's in their best interest, you know, throwing a little interest at them on top of just your normal principal payment, that's obviously makes it more worth their while. So it just depends on what it is, but typically the more, say, risky the situation is, typically the higher interest will be, or maybe the higher the down payment will be as far as what you want to put down. But once you're in that contract, there's really nothing that, I mean, unless you write it in there, nothing that's going to break that contract unless you default on it. Now it's, you know, I've heard of some bad situations where the owners want to get out of it or whatever, so they go ahead and they cancel the contract and they force the person to get a standard mortgage, which, okay, there are worse things, but there are lots of benefits of the land contract, being that typically you can get it figured out pretty quickly. It's a transaction strictly between two people. Obviously, if you're married, whatever, spouses and whatnot. But it's a pretty simple process. You know, maybe a lawyer might not be a bad idea to make sure you're getting yourself into a good contract as far as all the details go, so you don't end up getting the raw side of the deal. But it's a good way to do it. As far as like land goes and things like that, we, like I say, our property, basically well, not the people that we bought it from, but the people who previously had ownership of it before it went back to them, they were on a land contract. Now keep in mind the times that we're in, we're not post-COVID, but we're kind of getting through it. So we are not sure what exactly happened with the previous owners, but they ended up basically defaulting on the land contract from the folks that we ended up buying it from. So when they defaulted on the land contract, the ownership, they basically call it like a quit claim deed, or quit claim deed, I believe, or no, deed in lieu of default, I believe it is. Don't quote me, please. Deed in lieu of default, something along those lines. It's basically written into the contract. If you are unable to, or you know, however it works, decide to stop paying on that loan, that ownership goes back to the seller, basically, if that makes sense. So again, if you're buying the property from me on a land contract, and then it basically, you know, you decide to stop paying on it, it then, you know, you no longer have rights to that property since you've defaulted, and the ownership 100% goes back to my name. You have no interest in that property, and also no interest in any funds that you paid me, whether it be monthly payments for principal, interest, or the down payment. So that's part of the whole down payment thing. When you think of risk and how that kind of works, the more your down payment is, obviously the more skin you have in the game, the less likely you are to walk away from that investment. So just something to kind of think about there. Land contracts are something I've been learning a lot about, even though it's not something that we've done as far as on this property. It just made more sense to do the mortgage. But you know, as far as it goes, it's not a bad deal. If you watch YouTube all day like I do, you'll, you know, if you're into investing or anything like that, property, real estate, you'll see that doing a land contract is a really popular thing, although it might not be, say, as straightforward as like a mortgage would be, as far as just having your ownership and that be it, not having anybody else to deal with besides who you're paying and the servicer. You know, it's just something to keep in mind as an option, especially if you don't have a ton of money to put down, you know, things like that. It's something that allows you to get your name on a property and, you know, potentially take ownership of that property as long as you take the right steps to make sure it's something you can afford. And obviously it's a sound investment for you. So that's pretty much going to be it. I don't want to draw this one out too much. Was pretty pumped to get out there to the property today and do some things with the one part of the trail, now that I can call it kind of a trail. So really pumped to get that going. We'll definitely want to try to do more like vlog style videos, but obviously just trying to get as much information out there into the world as I can, to hopefully, you know, let you get more confident as maybe a shopper, buyer eventually, and then you know, as we learn, I will definitely pass that information on, and we'll keep this going. So that'll be it. Appreciate everybody. Again, we're just starting out, so appreciate everybody who will watch this, and your time. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon.